In late November 2020, Doug Jansen was a healthy 43-year-old pastor of a New York megachurch. On December 23, 2020, he was on life support, and his wife was called to say goodbye. The ordeal began in early December when the entire Jansen family contracted COVID-19. Doug's wife Kelly and his 3 children recovered quickly. Doug did not. When his labored breathing became life-threatening, he was admitted to ICU at Stony Brook Hospital.
A few hours later, I first got a phone call from the doctor saying we're going to give him some oxygen, we're going to start him on a treatment, and hope for the best. I actually just began to cry and just feeling like we were in for a battle for his life.
During the next several weeks, Doug's condition continued to decline.
I had been asking every day if I could come in, and they kept saying only end of life.
Yet long before that dreaded day arrived, Kelly had mobilized a contingency to do battle for Doug in prayer. She put her first request for help on Facebook.
And we were seeing things get worse and worse, and without, anything that I could have expected, people started sharing the posts, and prayer just rose up for him everywhere. They were gonna fight for Doug's life alongside of us.
Then another urgent call came from the hospital.
The doctor called me early and he said, he's declining rapidly. Yes, now you can come in.
When Kelly entered Doug's hospital room, she had no intention of saying goodbye.
And I just started to pray over him and speak life, and I left with an overwhelming assurance that he was gonna come home to me. And the last thing I said to him before I walked out of the room, I said, "You're coming home to us." I asked to speak to his 2 doctors, and I said, don't go in there and tell him one thing that's gonna make him feel like you've given up hope. And they said to me, he's very sick. Be prepared for the worst.
That's when Kelly asked the doctors to place Doug on a ventilator.
I took every phone call from the doctor, every negative word, under the truth of that verse, that God can do all things and that no plan of his can be thwarted.
The growing throngs of intercessors around the world and Doug's family and friends agreed Doug would not die. They held 24-hour prayer vigils, sang Christmas carols at the Jansens' front door, and circled the hospital in a prayer parade. Medical staff prayed too.
I was able to FaceTime with Kelly, and we were able to pray. The whole hospital was really rooting for him.
Doctors placed Doug on a ventilator but removed it within 24 hours after they determined it was not helping Doug breathe and might even make him worse.
And my prayer that night when I left was that God would just let him make it to the 26th so that his family didn't have to equate Christmas Day with losing Doug.
And then I got a phone call from a surgeon who said, your husband's not doing well, but I want to put him on life support. It's called ECMO life support, and this is his best chance at living. And I said, let's do it. And some of our closest people who are in the medical field said that, oh no, this is it. There's no way he's going to make it. I said, this is the miracle that we're praying for.
4 days later, Doug had a huge setback, a massive internal bleed. That's when the risks of ECMO outweighed the benefits. He was removed from ECMO and placed back on a ventilator.
So he was still in the ICU, and every day was like a roller coaster. 1 hour, he's doing pretty well. A couple of hours later, his oxygen levels are dropping. Kept telling my kids, he got Daddy through ECMO. He's gonna bring him off the vent.
A week later, Kelly says she experienced one of the most joyful moments of her life.
First time in weeks, I had a text from my husband. So that was January 4th. On January 5th, I was driving and I received a text that said, from Doug, they might take me off the ventilator. We were screaming and praising and yelling and rejoicing the fact that he was off the ventilator and he was breathing so well.
Doug immediately recorded a message to thank everyone who prayed him through this harrowing ordeal.
I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for battling for me and my family through all of this. You guys Prayers helped save my life.
On February 2nd, 2021, Doug Jansen left Stony Brook Hospital, winding through throngs of cheering well-wishers to a joyous reunion with his family. After several months of rehabilitation, Doug was back at home with his family and back in the pulpit of his church. But the Jansens say it's far from business as usual. Their lives will never be the same.
I'll think back to the fruit and I'll see loved ones that came back to Christ through this. I'll see just what God did in my own heart. My kids being able to say they saw a miracle is just, I would go through it all again.
One of the things that I think that I walked away with is that tenacity to not let go no matter how hopeless things are looking. We have a mighty God, and he wants us to, with tenacity of faith, not let him go and not stop, but keep knocking and keep praying and keep going to him and not give up.